helpful is, quote, what if? Alrighty. So, and this is one of those existential philosophical questions. So I get this question most times in the framework of a parent who comes in and their kiddo is having some type of problem or some type of hiccup. And the question is, what if I had done something differently? Right. So, what if I had never married their other parent? What if I had not embarrassed them in front of their friends? What if I had worked to be home more instead of working? Um, so that's the context that I get it the most. However, I think it happens in lots of different domains and lots of different situations. So I'll have, single people come in as adults and they'll say, what if I break off? What if I don't ever find anybody? Right. So what if I am alone for the rest of my life? What if, couples will come in? What if we don't divorce and we stay together? What's going to happen to the kids? Right. So what if is a very powerful exercise that I think human beings do because we're very thoughtful creatures. We have the ability to think and tie the past to the present and think about a future. We have the skill set, and especially in America, we have the skill set and the resources to have more choices than we know what to do with, and which is why that analysis paralysis thing happens, where you just have so many options. You go, oh my god, I feel overwhelmed, I can't do anything. And so, how do you deal with the what ifs? Like, how helpful is the what ifs? And so, my overall take is I think it's really helpful until it's not. And so, that's my answer. How helpful is quote unquote what if? It's helpful until it's not. So, it's helpful because playing through different scenarios, like it fosters creativity. It helps you analyze past things so that you can avoid negative outcomes. You can learn. You can learn from those things that have happened. And yeah, and it helps you build. It can help you be more in the present, and then build a better future. Like lay the framework for good things to happen. And so, yeah, so I think it can be very, very helpful. It's even more helpful when you do that in the context of a therapist. And so when you are walking through your what if scenarios with someone who is trained in human psychology and with human development, it just adds another layer. And so that's why I always say, hey, psst, 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 make sure you get a therapist because everybody should have a therapist because you're too close to yourself to be objective. And it's nice for you to have an outside party to go, yeah, yeah, well, you need to work on that. And so, yeah, so I think what if is a very helpful exercise until it's not. And so where it's not is if you get stuck. So there's lots of different psychological theories that say, especially in the case of trauma, that when something happens to you, if you're not getting through it, the theory is you get stuck there until you work through it. And that can reverberate, that can have repercussions downstream down the line. So, for example, for me, just a personal example, there was a kid in kindergarten, no, first grade, in first grade, who did something to really hurt my feelings. And I held a grudge against that person until almost 12th grade, like hated them. And it's really strange because it was not helpful in the end because she turned out to become a really good friend of mine, but I held that grudge forever. And so throughout those years, I would say, oh, well, what if I become their friend again? Well, I was so still stuck on what happened in first grade that I never gave myself permission to be able to fully experience what turned out to be a perfectly fine friendship. And so, yeah, so what if it's helpful until it's not? And in that case, it was not helpful because I missed out. And that is something that happens a lot. So, and that could be you applying for a job, right? So you say, oh, well, I've tried to apply for, 3 or 4 jobs in this arena. And so I guess I'm just not going to keep doing that. Well, if that's your passion, I'm going to say, by all means, keep trying because maybe it's that fifth one or that sixth one before you get the job that you are hoping for. And so, and if you let that what if keep you from reaching your potential, from exploring your full identity and skill set, then you're missing out. For some people, that would have become so overwhelming that then not only do you need to see a therapist, but that sometimes it can be that you need to see a psychiatrist to get medication. And especially in the case of like hoarding behavior, OCD behavior, like when agoraphobia, which is the reluctance to be able to like walk outside into big open spaces, all of those things. If I go outside, what if I go outside? Oh, something bad is going to happen. Well, that is a super disruptive idea. It keeps you from being able to hold a job. It keeps you from being able to have meaningful relationships, and that's where a psychiatrist is absolutely helpful because that's where medications come in to make that less of an issue. And so, so if you have a major disruption of a domain in your life, domain meaning like work or family or school or relationship, that sort of thing. If you're unable to access a major domain in your life, that by definition it will qualify you to have some type of psychiatric disorder. And again, all of those things can be treated. And so I want you to keep in mind that yes, what if is really helpful. By all means, explore that by yourself. If you need extra help with exploring what if, that's where you get a therapist. If you then find that there are major disruptions in your life when you're going about thinking about what if, then that's where having a psychiatrist or another medical person jump in there to help you out can be helpful. So